As many of you probably already know, I went to the Indianapolis regional this past weekend. I took Zoo FA. It was a lot of fun. Sadly, I still went X3, the same as last weekend. However, I will say, and this is pretty important, they're not both the same. Like, the X3s are not exactly the same. The last X3 that I did last weekend, I was really close to losing a lot of the games that I won. They came down to like the wire almost every single time. This time, the games that I won, the matches that I won, I was so far ahead of my opponents. It never really came down to like a sacky top deck or anything. So I think the build is getting better, and I'm getting better with the deck. Now I will say a couple of my losses were so one of them, I was really, really stupid. That one was completely my fault. Another one, I just got blown out of the water by this really nice guy that was playing pendulums, and he was using a whole bunch of tech cards that I hadn't seen before. Totally killed me. That guy was really great though. He was a cool guy that we checked in a couple times throughout the rest of the day. He was awesome. But he kicked my ass, to be completely honest. But anyway, yeah, I took this the regional, went X3, not like the greatest, but like I said, it definitely didn't feel the same as the last one, because the last one, I really felt like a lot of them were coming down to that last top deck. This one, not so much. So yeah, let's get into it. The big differences here are that I cut the Armageddon Knight engine, and I played this Skull Dread combo. I'll talk about that more when we get to the Skull Dread combos, or the Skull Dread combo cards. It's just a 2-card combo that gets there. It's not really something you're going to do game 1, because it takes away making like a Synchro monster unless you draw a Soul Charger Monster Reborn, but it's really, really, really powerful in games 2 and 3 for drawing your side deck cards. But anyway, let's get into the list. 3 Hang Unmock. I don't even think I really need to explain this card. It is very good against Pendulums because you can banish the monsters so they can't be summoned from the extra deck, and it's also really good against Trickstars because you can banish the monsters so they can't summon them back with Reincarnation. We played 3 Hang Unmock. I'm not sure if you have to play 3 of this card. It's not as good anymore now that Max C isn't in the game. It certainly is a good card, only because we don't have any other level 4 FAs that don't suck. So it's okay, but I sided one out a lot of different times. 3 Auto Navigator. This card's busted. I think we're going to find this out more in the next set, not only with the new FA support, but if we get the Crystron Needle Fiber card, this card will be super stupid. But even right now, I mean, this card is just really dumb. I mean, it's a free revival every single turn and a search, so it's cool. So those are the FA monsters. We don't play level 4 guy. The race car guy, he's pretty bad. And we don't play the level 6 guy because he's really, really bad. We play 2 Cockadoodle-Doo. I think I inadvertently made this card rise in price, and I feel kind of bad about it, but there really isn't a good replacement for it. There's a reason I'm playing it. I'm trying to optimize this build as much as possible, and there's no replacement for Cockadoodle-Doo. That's simply what it is. So the only like kind of replacement is E-Telly for Ghost Ogre, but E-Telly's at 1 copy per deck, and then it makes the Ghost Ogre sort of like Garnets. If E-Telly ever goes like 2 or 3, that might be an option, but for now there aren't any easier level special summonable level 3 monsters. So there's like Instant Fusion for Theseus, that's level 5 monsters, so you can still do like the level 9 FA guy, but you can't do Ancient Fairy Dragon, you can't do like Omega. This card's just great. It's really hard to like replace, so if I ever come up with a budget alternative, which I never thought I'd say about Cockadoodle-Doo, but if I ever come up with one, I'll let you guys know. So I played the Zoo engine. It is Zoodiac FAs. I did not play the Ancient Gear engine, and I talked about that in the video on Friday. For this particular tournament, a huge focus I had was every time I had Barrage, or every time I draw Thoroughblade, what if that was Ancient Gear Catapult or Ancient Gear Wyvern? And I found out that the Zoo engine absolutely is better, and these are some things that I didn't mention in the video because I hadn't really thought about it while I was playing. So one of the biggest reasons this engine is better is because the Catapult engine is only good turn 1. So you have to have a totally free monster zones to activate it in the first place, and that only really works on turn 1, much like Cockadoodle-Doo. So if you play the Catapult engine, you can't play Cockadoodle-Doo because you need the free spaces for everything. But the difference is that if you draw Cockadoodle-Doo and you already have a board, you probably don't need the Cockadoodle-Doo. But with Barrage, it's almost always helpful. It makes your board even better, so you don't want to just be waiting around to do that. There's also this thing when you have like 2 barrages in your hand, you can summon the Thoroughblade from your deck and discard the second barrage to get a free draw. That's really cool. One of the most common plays I did was you use Barrage once, summon like Thoroughblade, make your regular combo, add a test run to your hand. On your opponent's turn, you activate the test run, destroy something, and then on your turn, you activate Barrage, destroy another field spell, do whatever, and then banish the test run in the grave to destroy the Barrage. That combo is really good. So there's just like a lot of different interactions where Barrage was just infinitely better than Catapult, so I don't think I'm going to be playing that card anytime soon. Catapult has some uses, but I think overall, the Barrage engine is just way too good. And then 3 Ash Blossom. So obviously no Max C. I didn't want to main deck any other hand traps. None of them are really as versatile as Ash Blossom, as many of you know. I'm trying to play this deck on a budget. Probably just play like Ghost Ogres or maybe Veilers or something. But Ash Blossom is really good. For this field spells, 3 City, 3 Off-Road. I don't think I need to explain these as much as I did in the last video when people didn't know what this deck did. Basically, you play these ones over the other ones because, well, basically you play the 3rd Off-Road instead of the Circuit Grand Prix because this increases levels during the main phase, not the battle phase. And the main phase is when I'm trying to do all the combos. And then 3 Terraforming. Sometimes it like clogged with all these field spells, but with the Skull combo, you can just put the extra field spells back and turn them into good cards, so that's pretty cool. So just the 9 there. 3 FA Test Run. Card's ridiculous. You want to be using this card as often as possible. It's how you win your games. You want to be using it on your turn. You want to be using it on your opponent's turn. You want to be banishing it. Yeah, it's a really broken card. It doesn't target. That's pretty stupid. 3 FA Pit Stop. This card was pretty underwhelming. The problem with this card versus Test Run is that with Test Run, if you just have like a random FA monster and Test Run, like it's actually pretty good because it lets you pop an opponent's monster, lets you summon a guy from the deck later on, so that's cool. But if you just draw Pit Stop and then like an FA monster, it doesn't really accomplish anything because like then the problem is the monster is now lower than its original level, at least 1 level lower, but sometimes 2 levels lower. So if you draw like an Auto Navigator off the Pit Stop, it doesn't really help. Obviously, you still have to play this card. I don't think that this card will be a 3 of when the next wave of support comes out. I know it's pretty crazy to say. This card's best for just recycling with Omega, but a lot of times like I did do this card. This card's only really good if you're comboing off, whereas Test Run and a lot of the other cards are good if you don't have a full combo. So it's kind of in a weird spot. Yes, I drew a lot of cards off of it. Let me think here. I never drew 3 cards, but I did draw 2 cards off it a couple times. We also have 3 Barrage. Obviously, I mean, I've already talked about this card. This is the whole reason you play the Zoo Engine. The 2-card Skull combo is, I don't think I said already, it's Barrage and any field spell. But you're not doing that. You're not doing that game 1. You're not doing that game 1 unless you have Monster Born or Soul Charge, because you're really only doing it to draw into side deck cards. If you do it turn 1, game 1, the problem is you only end with a Skull Dread, and like you drew a bunch of cards, and that's cool. But it's better to just end with like an Omega or a Crystal Wing or a Stardust Dragon or something like that. But yeah, it's still there, and I did it a lot, but not really games 1, or not really games 1 unless you drew the revival cards. 2 copies of Desires. I said I'd bump this card up to 3. I didn't really have the space, and we're already playing 42 cards. I think you can cut it to 40, but it was perfectly fine. This never got ashed, so that's cool. And 2 Forbidden Chalice. This was the 41st and 42nd card. I really didn't want to lose the Trick Stars at this regional, and I didn't lose the Trick Stars. I don't think Chalice actually helped with that, but this card wasn't out to Eater of Millions. You can also just run over Eater of Millions with Hang on Rock, which is something I didn't realize earlier. But this card was like fine. It's just, I think the deck just wants to be as consistent as possible, and you can cut these to get it to 40, so that's probably the best way to do it. So I'm really going to try to stick it at 40 for YCS Atlanta. The Saki one-ofs. We have Soul Charge, Monster Reborn. This card was in fact insane. Not overpowered by any means, but definitely really good. Foolish Burial is our 4th copy of Auto Navigator, and then Regeki as like a blowout card. One of the problems with this deck, it doesn't have a lot of board wipes. It has really good spot removal in Test Run, but as far as board wipes go, not really. So a lot of times at the last regional, I got into a situation where my opponent had a full board. I simply couldn't draw anything to out it, so Regeki was played. Yeah, so the Skull Dread thing, if you have one of these cards, you can do it turn 1 so that you can still end with like an Omega. That's pretty good, but otherwise just save that for games 2 and 3 for drawing into side deck cards. The extra deck, so we have 2 Transport. I never made the second one ever. I'm not sure. The extra deck space in here isn't that tight. I mean, it wasn't tight enough to the point where like I could take out 4 cards for the Skull Dread combo. So yeah, it's not very tight with this card. If you like want to play something else and it's not in my extra deck, just swap out a Transport. 2 Omega. I made 2 of these almost every game. That's basically how you win, is you get 2 of these on the board and then you recycle Test Run and Pit Stop every turn. That's really unfair, so it's cool. 1 Stardust Dragon, 1 Crystal Wing. Oh, sorry, I probably should mention Stardust Dragon. So in the last tournament, I didn't play this card, but what kept happening is I would just open the Ancient Fairy Dragon combo, and it would end on like a Crystal Wing or an Omega with a field spell and then the Hang on Mock, and like my opponent would just activate Dark Hole and I would just lose. So I played Stardust Dragon for that situation. Crystal Wing is pretty good. We make it with the Ancient Fairy Dragon. You only really need one Ancient Fairy Dragon. I don't think you ever really need two. I just can't imagine a situation where that would happen. The one served me fine. You can put it back with Omega if you want to. Meaning, like, if the Omega goes to the graveyard, you can shuffle back the Ancient Fairy Dragon. So that's it for the Synchro monsters. It's kind of like a Synchro Toolbox deck, but a lot of time you're just making Omegas and stuff. We are playing one Totem Bird. I think this card is super important. It helps the worst hand in the deck. The worst hand in the deck is Cock-a-Doodle-Doo, Auto Navigator, and no other monsters. In that case, you can make Totem Bird. It's actually pretty good, so I like Totem Bird a lot. Baguska, this helps the other worst hand in the deck, which is Barrage and all level 4 monsters and nothing else. And in that case, you can make this guy. So you can kind of see what I'm doing here. These two cards are just easy extra deck things to play when you open badly, and they helped out a lot. So now for the Skull Dread combo. So what you have to make is Galaxy Tomahawk. One Galaxy Tomahawk gets you to Skull Dread. You can make this with the Barrage Field Spell, but you can just make this anytime you open Ancient Fairy Dragon and a level 4 in hand with a Field Spell, because that's basically what you do. It's like another combo. If you just had like Cock-a-Doodle-Doo and like 2 level 4s and a Field Spell, that would do it. Tons of stuff gets there, but the main combo is Barrage Field Spell. So you make this guy, and then you make Cliffort Genius using a token and the Tomahawk, and then you make Proxy Dragon using 2 tokens, and then you make Link Spider using 1 token. So now you have these 3 cards on field and 1 token, and then from there you make the Skull Dread. Skull Dread draws 4 cards and puts 3 on the bottom of your deck. So it's really good in this deck because, like I said earlier, you draw so many extra field spells that you don't really need. You can put them all to the bottom of the deck to draw side deck cards. This combo is super dumb. Like I said, it's not a game 1 combo. Please, I see people like saying like, oh, it's crazy. You can just game 1, like turn 1. Don't do it that. Don't do that. It's so bad. Like then you just end with you literally just end with a Skull Dread and then like maybe a Hang on Mock, and that's like not actually good. Like it's flashy, but it's only good if you actually draw into worthwhile cards. So do it when you side deck to draw into like the trap cards and the hand traps and stuff. But and then the one Link monster we played besides all these was Underclock Taker. This is just like the best generic Link monster. That's Link 2. And yeah, that's pretty cool. I never made him this tournament. I made him a lot the last tournament though. And yeah, I mean this combo, like Skull Dread combo was really good. There were some pretty crazy times. Like, well, against that Pendulum guy I lost to, like, I know it's a bad example because I lost to him, but I did the Skull Dread combo and ended with Strike, Ash, and Test Run with an Omega on the board, and I was like, wow, how is he going to beat this? Well, he beat it, but that was because of his crazy tech cards. But, I mean, that opening is pretty much unbeatable against, like, a standard Pendulum deck. But anyway, that's side deck. So we have 2 copies of Ghost Ogre, mainly for Pendulums. That was mainly what it's for. Also for Spirals, which were at the tournament. 3 Chaos Hunter. I didn't want to lose the Trick Stars ever again. Chaos Hunter let me do that. This card was insane. It's also really good against dinosaurs, and dinosaurs were pretty popular at the event, so I like this card a lot. 2 Twin Twisters for back row decks, 1 Dark Hole. For the same reason that we played Regeki, like it's just this deck struggles with board wipes, so Dark Hole's good. We played 3 Unending Nightmare. This card's so dumb in this deck. It's ridiculous against Pendulums. You will almost always have it on turn 1 because of the Skull Dread combo. And yeah, you just pop all the Pendulum cards they activate. They can't play the game. And then you can use it to pop your field spell to just like do stupid things. This card's insane. Definitely like the best card in the side deck. 2 copies of Strike. I was playing 3 and I also was playing 3 copies of Mind Crush, but I cut 1 copy of each of them to make room for the Chaos Hunters. And really, I mean, I keep mentioning it, but when you go the Skull Dread combo, you draw into your side deck cards, so you don't actually need to play like 3 copies of all of them. So like usually I draw into Strike or a Mind Crush and like an Unending Nightmare, and then you just like win the game immediately, so that's really cool. But yeah, I think the side deck was actually really solid. I sided into most of the cards. I think the extra deck is really solid. I made everything except Underclock Taker and the second Transport. The main deck I thought was really good as well, just not the Forbidden Chalice. But I have high hopes for this deck. I'm getting better each time I play it. It's one of the most complicated decks I've ever played. I had a lot of spectators throughout the day. Probably, well, most of them are subscribers. Some of them are just people that saw like a zoo monster. A lot of times I'd have like a Thoroughblade and then like a Cock-a-Doodle-Doo and like a field spell, and people would just be like looking at this and be like, what the heck is this guy playing? And that's always fun. But thank you to everyone who like had me sign their FA cards. That was a lot of fun. Signed some Chaos Maxes, signed some Gem Knight Garnets, all sorts of stuff. If you are at YCS Atlanta this coming weekend, feel free to say hi. I'll be up there the whole weekend, a little bit on Friday, all Saturday, and then most of Sunday. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Oh, the camera went out of focus. I guess it doesn't matter. But I will see you guys later. Bye.